So you were talking about writing. I think it's about time we get into it.
Yeah.
You've got a new EP coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us about it. What can we expect? What sort of time frame can we expect this EP? What's going with it?
So musically, it is some balls to the wall stuff. There's some proper
Okay.
there's some power on it, isn't there, Cal?
That's it.
Yeah.
And there's like one tune which is like it just sounds massive to us. Like we absolutely love it. You know, I do it differently one.
Yeah.
It's just got this really like kind of almost like Hawaiian riff to it, hasn't it? It's really
So it's like Hawaiian heartbeat.
Under the sea vibe.
yeah,
Is there a
under
steel
the sea
pan?
Yeah. But yeah,
It
like
will be now.
yeah.
Do you need a steel pan?
Yeah.
There's a running joke in our podcast. I always bring up that I used to play the steel pans.
Oh.
That led so perfectly into it. I couldn't not.
You could have not. Yeah,
I could have not.
Yeah,
But
no,
in my
How
head,
do you get into the steel pan? How does that start?
Oh, someone's actually asked him about it. Oh, bro.
I went to a very strange primary school, essentially, and there was in my junior school there was a steel pan band club.
Nice.
And I joined, tried out, got in on like the
Tried out. Sorry, wait.
like,
How do you try out?
well, you go in, you all hit some pans. Some of you are shit, some of you are good, some of you are right. You know what I mean? Like, not everyone's built for it, Joe. You know,
The steel pan.
You've got the gift.
Yeah.
The Steel Pan Band Club sound like a Beatles tribute.
Yeah.
I think that was the aim. That was the aim to do. We just were doing the whole of Sgt. Pepper back to front on steel pans.
Oh my god.
But yeah, essentially, strange school decided that was something they were going to bring in as an after-school club. So
Great stuff.
I'm not sure how you, like, as a teacher, you bring that to the board and you go, right, I need £3,000 of our budget for a full
They obviously got
handset. They're like
They
a
obviously
lot.
got a deal on it.
Yeah, obviously. So I don't know where you get the deal from. It was probably like the.
I've just found
they were
some
nicked.
steel pans. I've got an idea.
yeah.
The more likely thing from your junior school is they were nicked from somewhere.
No, hang on.
Yeah.
No, they were. Fuck off. Right, it wasn't that bad. We literally lived down the road from like a West Indian community club. So I think that's like Afro West Indian Community Club. I think they're probably some link to that.
Yeah,
Rented.
They're not. They're rented, borrowed, never given back. I think.
Anyway, new EP.
Yeah. Steel bands. Let's keep going.
Keep going.
Yeah. Time frame wise, I'm not sure because we really wanted to get it out as soon as possible, but it's like everybody else on it kind of in the background's like, we need to make sure it's lining up with some live stuff. So yeah, it's going to be, I mean, we're looking like towards the tail end of summer now, I think.
Yeah.
With the fingers crossed, you know, that we can get out and get playing and everything, because that'll be, you know, that's exactly what we're aiming for.
Yeah.
But yeah, like as for the music, it's like 100% it's the best stuff we've ever done.
Cool.
It's yeah, I'm really excited to get going on it.
Mm.
So what are your main influences like musically? Oh, where does it all come from?
I would say originally, like from the very core, it's like Libertines and Arctic Monkeys and stuff like that. That's where it all started with us, I think. And then you start collecting more and more, like a huge one at the minute is Black Midi. We sound nothing like them, but they're such a huge inspiration because they were just like a breath of fresh air into the world of like our sort of music.
Mm.
And they sort of took us from the side, didn't they? Really?
Yeah,
they're just crazy. They're an anomaly. They're just like the most nuts thing at the moment.
Yeah, it's really weird because we're kind of like you say, like there is that core in the like early 2000s indie thing that made us, you know, pick up instruments in the first place.
Yeah.
But there's also this, which is kind of like that. Some of that music, when you kind of listen back to it, like it's been called not industrial indie now, landfill indie now. Some of it kind of like, you know, this mass of commercially ready pop kind of friendly indie tunes, and it kind of like it was a bit tough to take when that first came out, but kind of like it's really funny because some of our really key influences now, like you say, Black Midi, Dry Cleaning, are completely on the other side of that spectrum. indie bands, post-punk bands, whatever. But they're like this totally different thing to commercial music. And I say kind of commercial in a sort of light way because, it's kind of always hard to define what commercial is. But if you look at like Arctic Monkeys and the Libertines, you would say super successful bands. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like really big. They've had music in the charts and things like that. Well, I mean, actually, Black Midi and Dry Clean have both had albums in the charts. But to me, they kind of like represent this other like ideology. And it's something like it just gets sucked into the whirlpool of the Rills, doesn't it? And we don't really like make proper like post-punk music, but it's like so important to us that it does kind of find its way in there.
And you can hear it from because we're massive fans of this post-punk vibe, Feet, Courtin, all of the bands like that. Like we love that scene, and you can hear the elements to it, and you've got that crossover. It feels like a crossover breed of that, as we were saying. Like I think the commercial side, when Arctic Monkeys went commercial really with AM sort of thing, but more the earlier stuff, you've got the nice twang of that, of like the actual guitar music, but also have the elements of spaced vocals and heavy drum over and a bass line to it over the top as well. And it's this almost crossbreed that feels to us like quite a refreshing thing to hear, because there's a lot of people down both routes. Like there is, Feet have just released that Peace and Quiet now, and it's the first track they've released recently, and it's a fucking belter, but that is very much one side. And there is quite a lot like Italian 90 we've spoke about before that are down that end of the spectrum. And it's nice having someone on the show, especially, but also like in the scene that we're enjoying. It's that nice middle ground for people that not necessarily so into that post-punk vibe, because that's a lot that can be quite hard to consume for like someone who's not been listening to it for a long while. Yeah. And also so can that, early Arctic Monkeys humbug-y type vibe stuff, and that nice middle ground I think will really help you lot like grow in that direction. So are we expecting to hear that sort of vibe on this new EP?
Definitely. Yeah. We've definitely tried to like take those sort of more out there post-punky vibes and sort of wrap them up in a nice commercial package and sort of, do you know what I mean? Ready for sale.
Yeah, I like that.
It's there's definitely, there is one song on it, I think there's going to be the opener, called This Is Hell, where we wrote it and I was like to Cal, I was like, I've been trying to write this song for about 3 years. Not that song in itself, but I just mean the sound. I was like, it was like this moment of like, yes, we bloody hit the nail on the head of that thing I was trying to pull out for so long. And then now it's like, okay, right, now where can we go?
Yeah.
And then there's this other one called Do It Differently, which I think is just so outrageous for us, like in style. It's so different to anything we've ever done. I'm really excited to kind of like get in the studio and see how that kind of comes to life, because it's not the most post-punky tune in the world, right? But I definitely know like the producer we're working with, Jonathan Hooks, is just like a genius. So we're really excited to kind of like see where we can like push and pull these tunes and what direction they can kind of go in.
So were these tunes, are these like lockdown tunes that you've written, or are they ones that you had in the works before?
Well, actually, I think the whole thing is all of these tunes have come together in lockdown. There's one tune called Never Around, which I had the guitar, like the chords for it, I've had them for about 2 years or something. But other than that, all of these tunes have come from like little ideas, like whether I've had or you had the Skint Eastwood bass riff ideas. But like all of them have been written in this space, like this lockdown space. None of them are actually about being in lockdown,
I think people have heard enough about being in lockdown, so we've sort of but they're not sort of like that. We haven't got one called Lockdown Virus Pandemic Wear a Mask.
And I cried in my bedroom for 9 months.
Lyrically in particular, like writing in this kind of like period where you cannot get out, there's nothing you can do, you're just trapped, is that I found I've written all these like lyrics for these songs, and I read them all back recently, and I was like, oh my God, these are all about escape or being trapped. So somehow, like writing in my surroundings, like being in this position, because I normally write about characters. I love going out in the world, seeing like little characters and kind of people, and I'll write about that. And that's what I've always been inspired by. And this batch of songs is all like introspective. It's all a bit more kind of like I'm having to be a bit more creative with like the characters. Like there's one called World Leaders, which isn't about one specific character, but just more about the trappings of being a world leader. So yeah, somehow they all just ended up about being like escapism or entrapment. So
yeah,